RV on top, aorta, LA, LV, coronary sinus, and descending aorta. And when we look at this session, the aorta has to be as horizontal as possible. So this is what the aorta is. Look, this aorta is as horizontal as possible. Then second thing is the anterior aortic root is in continuation with the interventricular septum. Posterior aortic root is in continuation with AML, and LA free wall is in continuation with PML as well as LV posterior. This is how we look at these structures. Now next comes M mode. If I draw my M mode, the line should be in the center. Look, the line is almost in the center of this sector. When I cut this sector and do an M mode, I'm able to see my rectangular box shaped pattern of aortic valve opening. Now it's very categorically seen on the first complex. Look, I can see this rectangular opening of the aortic valve. And here is my LA, here is aortic valve opening, and here is aorta. So we can measure this from this point to this point, that is aorta. This is LA, and then comes aortic valve opening. So one measurement, same, keeping the cursor at the same point. Now I am going to shift my cursor tip to the tip of the mitral valve. Now I can see a beautiful D excursion, EF slope. This is beautiful D excursion, which I can see. And second is, then I can go to EF slope. And this is how we look at D excursion, EF slope. At the same time, I can look at my distance E point septal separation, which is almost 0.86. Then keeping the same point at this, I'm just distant to the tip of the mitral valve leaflets to look at my LV measurements. At this time, what ASC recommends and what we do is little different variable. I'm going to show you that.
I know see screen, sir.
Pardon?
I know see screen, sir.
Can you repeat it again?
I know see the screen, sir.
You can't see the screen?
No, sir. I know see.
So, you don't see, just exit it out and enter inside again, utilizing the word co-host.
Yeah.
Reena will help you out. So this is LA measurement, maximum dimension in 2D. Now the same thing you can do for LV measurement also. Go to the maximum size of LV. This is LV measurements during diastole. Then scroll it. You go to systole. And you have to be very, very careful. Look, what I am going to do is measure from this point to this point. I could measure from this point also, but this is chord. So diastolic and systolic measurements of LV, that's how we measure diastolic and systolic measurement of LV. Then at this same point, I'm going to put a color Doppler. This color Doppler is, look, I'm switching on my colors. Now you can see the Nyquist limit of my color is 53 centimeters per second. Now I'm going to increase my gains of the color Doppler. Now you can see a lot of garbage seen over here. So how to optimize my color? I'm going to increase and then reduce it one by one. Now all that garbage or spicules of colors, they have disappeared. So this is how we utilize this particular phenomenon of color Doppler. We use at mitral valve. We use at aortic valve. And at this point, we can look at an AR and we can look at an MR. We can see a trivial MR in this subject, very small trivial MR, which is practically seen in every subject. It's here. Very small trivial MR jet you can see over here. Then RV-RN flow view to look at a tricuspid flow as well as PR jet gradients. You can see a small amount of a tricuspid regurg. It's here at PR jet. Then rotate it 90 degree. This is at the level of papillary muscles. Then aorta. And once we go to aorta, we have got all the structure. We come back to papillary muscles. Then we come back to, sorry, this is mitral valve, then papillary muscles, and then finally the apex. So this is how we look at. Fortunately, we could see a very good coronary arteries in this subject. Now I am zooming it up. Now you can see left main coronary artery seen over here. Then at this point, what we do, we look for pulmonic flow. This is what the pulmonic flow is. And normal pulmonic flow is anything less than 0.9 meters per second. This is 0.9 meters per second. At the same time, we can trace this pulmonic flow to get pulmonary artery VTI. So I'm going to go to trace and I'm going to trace this pulmonic flow to get pulmonic artery velocity time integral. And velocity time integral is nothing but distance with which the blood is pushed with every stroke. So this is 0.7. The VTI is 15.79 seconds. You can see a VTI over here. It is 15.79 centimeters, not seconds, centimeters. At the same time, I can look at the RVOT dimensions. So I'm going to zoom up my image, focus on pulmonic valve, which is not easily seen in the subject. But if you look at it, I'll try to explain what exactly I mean to say is. This is pulmonic valve. So this is one hinge point, this is another hinge point. So I'm going to measure from one hinge point to another hinge point. That is 2.49 centimeter is pulmonic artery RVOT. Or pulmonic artery, not pulmonic artery, RVOT diameter. And why we need this RVOT diameter? When we're doing the pediatric populations, we need UP/QS ratio. This is how we look for RVOT, pi r square into RVOT, and utilizing RVOT into VTI, we'll get a flow across this pulmonic valve. Then second important thing is when I'm using this, when I'm utilizing this subject, I'm getting 16 segments of the LV. These are basal 16 segments of LV. Then comes mid 16 segment at the level of papillary muscles, and then come apex 16 segments of LV. So apex has got 4. Papillary muscle has got 6, and the basal has got 6. 6 plus 6 plus 12 plus 4, 16. This is interventricular septum, and look at this interventricular septum. This is bulging towards RV. So here is RV, and this, if this septum starts becoming flattened, it means RV pressure is getting built up so that it's getting flattened. When this bulges towards LV during systole, it means RV systolic pressures are more than LV systolic pressures. So this is how we look at it. And number of times by an oblique angulations, we can get a what? Sometimes we can see LA appendage as seen over here. We can see an LA appendage sometimes over here. And how do we see this LA appendage? As we move from aorta to mitral valve, we see an LV appendage. So aorta to mitral valve, here is LA appendage, not LV, LA appendage. So I'm going to go to aorta, then come slowly to mitral valve, and I could see my LA appendage, then comes my mitral valve, then comes my papillary muscles, and finally the apex. This is what all is required if you are doing a flat swing. Now we go to 4-chamber view. So I'm going to 4-chamber view. Look, my apex is in the center of this cursor section. So this is the best image I can get. What I'm going to get? I'm getting 4-chamber view, apical 4-chamber view. This is septum, this is lateral wall, and lateral wall has got a coupling muscle. Here is AML, here is PML. This is LA. LA has got a pulmonic veins, right pulmonic vein over here, left pulmonic vein over here. And then this is interventricular septum, or we call them as septum, RV, RV free wall, RA. Rotated counterclockwise 90 degree, so that inferior wall starts showing a papillary muscle. This is inferior wall, this is inferior wall, and this is again LA. And further counterclockwise rotation will open up my aorta. This becomes anterior septum, and this becomes posterior wall. There should not be a papillary muscle seen in this posterior wall. Now come classification of wall motions. Mid and basal posterior wall. This is basal posterior wall. This is mid posterior wall. This is basal anterior septum. This is mid anterior septum. This is whole of the anterior wall, suggesting of basal, mid, and apical anterior wall. Basal, mid, and apical inferior wall. And 4-chamber view again. Basal, mid, and apical septum. Basal, mid, and apical lateral wall. So we have got 2 papillary muscles, one with the lateral wall, second is with the inferior wall. If our footprint looks towards aorta, what do we get? We get aortic valve. And this wall, which was septum earlier, now becomes anterior septum. This view is very good for looking aortic valve gradients. So this is first window where we look at aortic valve gradient. For mitral valve, this is one window, second is this window, third is this is window. So you can look at an aortic valve, a mitral valve in all 3 windows. But for aortic valve, we have got only 3-chamber view and 5-chamber view when we are talking of aortic valve. This is interatrial septum, this is RA, this is RV, and this is RV free wall. When we look at the calculations, what we need? We need a mitral flow pattern. Now look, it's a very small trivial MR you can see in this patient, subject, not patient, subject. So we have a very small trivial MR jet seen in this subject. Then we can put a sample volume across this mitral wall on the tip of the mitral valve. What we get? We get E and A wave. This is E wave. This is A wave. So we have got E wave velocity, we have got A wave velocity, we have got a deceleration time, and then E ratio. So this is how we look at mitral flow patterns. Similarly, we look at aortic flow patterns, and now aorta has got 2 important criteria. One is this is before the leaflets. This is LVOT. So what we look for LVOT is aortic valve, LVOT trace, because when we have to calculate QP/QS ratio or cardiac output, I need LVOT VTI. So this is I'm going to take LVOT VTI. So this is LVOT VTI. I need LVOT diet. So I'll go back again in Plaques window to show you LVOT diet. Then next comes the aortic valve VTI. Now my cursor will go into the distal to the leaflets to talk of aortic valve VTI. Look, the spectrum has changed, but the velocity is reasonably normal. Why we say reasonably normal? Let's measure the velocity 1.4 meters per second. So maximum velocity across aortic valve is 1.7. Half of that is pulmonary. Maximum velocity across mitral valve is 1.3. Half of that is almost tricuspid. Then we move to tricuspid valve, and I'm trying to get the tricuspid valve into the center. This is known as RVRA focused view. So I'm going to get the RVRA focused view to bring it tricuspid valve into the center. Now the tricuspid valve I'm going to get right in the center. So this is what tricuspid valve is. I'll measure the same E wave, deceleration time, and the A wave. All three things I'll get in the same fashion as I get from mitral valve when I was evaluating. Then comes tricuspid regurgitation. So at this point, tricuspid regurgitation would be putting a cursor, and let's see how much is the TRJ. And I'm trying to focus to get a, now this is, I've got a tongue shape, the tip of the tongue. So this is 2.23 oblique 20 millimeters of tricuspid regurgitation jet. At same time, I need to look at my TARP-C. So what I'm going to do is, I go to tricuspid annulus, do an M mode, and now I'm getting M mode. This is M mode is where that this is tricuspid annulus plane systolic excursion. At the same place, I can get my tissue velocity imaging for RV free wall. So I've got a tissue velocity imaging of RV free wall 11. Anything more than 9.5 is considered normal. Similarly, I can get a TDI velocity across septum as well as lateral wall. So I'm going to show you a septum, keeping a sample volume right into the annulus. This is septum. This is E prime. This is A prime velocity. Then comes to lateral annulus. So this is lateral annulus and this is E prime of the lateral annulus. When we look at an LA functions for TDI or for calculating diastolic evaluation, we look at septal lateral annulus, although we'll be repeating again and again. This is how we look for velocity across this. Now I'm going to measure my LA volumes. Although I'll be coming back again on this LA volume when we'll be talking of CAD and a cardiopathy. I have to go back again because the ECG gating did not show a same pattern. Now I'm going to get 4 chamber and 2 chamber. Now our machine is not synchronized. I'll go and measure my LA volumes. LA volumes is by 4 chamber. I'm going to measure my medial annulus, trace down the LA. Similarly, on other side, 2 chamber. Then one of these, either 4 chamber or 2 chamber. Now you can see LA volume index for this subject is 18.573 ml per meter square. This is how we look for LA volumes. Next comes our subcostal window. Index mark at 3 o'clock position. So this is what we look in the subcostal window. We look for RV free wall. We are not bothered for anything. Now look at the thickening of the RV free wall. Then counterclockwise rotation will open up my IVC over here. So I can see my IVC. Shriram, see that एकदम घुटने वाला। लंबा सांस लो। Now I can see my opening of IVC a little bit. I can't show you very good. Now I could see IVC over here. So this is IVC. This is RV free wall, where we look at the RV contractions. So we look for RV free wall. And here is an IVC which opens up. This is sometimes you can see a short axis view at subcostal window. Once we have done this, we need to do one more view before we stop and take your question answer sessions. We go to suprasternal window, index marker at 11 o'clock positions, and then we go up, see a descending aorta. Now you can see a descending aorta. This is ascending, red in color, arch, and this is finally the descending aorta. And when we measure the velocity across descending aorta, this is almost 2 meters per second, 2.2 meters per second. This is the velocity of descending aorta. So this is all we do in the normal measurements when we talk of attendance लेनी है साथ में ये गला साफ करने के लिए So I'll call one by one to ask the questions. First of all, I'll request Dr. Shamshad.
Sir, please show parasternal long axis view and measurement across the tip of the mitral and aortic area.
Mitral and aortic. Aortic is like aorta, LA avicus separation. Mitral valve is D excursion and EF flow, right?
Yes, sir.
So I'm going to go to, this is flat window. So I'm going to go to Dr. Shamshad is the first one. So this is, I'm trying to get aorta as horizontal as possible. Then cursor line into the center. M mode. So what we're seeing is, this is from this point to this point is aorta. From this point to this point is LA, and this is aortic valve open. Okay, Dr. Shamshad?
Okay, sir.
Next comes tip of the mitral valve leaflets. So I moved my cursor to the tip of the mitral valve leaflet. So if I'm measuring at the tip of the mitral valve leaflet is, this is BE excursion, this is EF slope, and this is E point septal separation. Right?
Okay, sir.
Anything else?
Sir, IVS and LV internal diameter during systole and diastole.
So same picture I'll freeze. When we talk of our dimensions of LV, first of all, the patient is an end diastole. So maximum dimension of LV, right?
Yes, sir.
So look, it's a beginning of systole or end of a diastole. So this is from this point to this point is my internal dimension of LV during diastole. Same thing if I scroll to systole at the end of a systole. This is my internal dimensions at the end of systole. Next comes, if you want to measure the thickness of the LV wall, so you have to go to diastole. So this is the thickness of LV wall over here, septum, and this is the thickness of posterior. Almost 1 centimeter or 10 millimeter is an average thickness. And this thickness is a very controversial issue because some people they take normal as 12 millimeters, some take 10, and so forth, and like 10 to 12. And when we call up hypertrophy, we call them as 15 millimeters.
Sir, we
Okay.
can, sir, is it possible to measure M mode, taking M mode?
We can measure by doing an M mode. I can show you, but sometimes if I'm not cutting at the right point of a cursor, you may not have a correct answer. Look, if I'm cutting at this point from this point to this point, then I'm fine. But number of times what happens, we cut like this, oblique.
Yeah.
So let me just show you like cursor. Look, this my cursor is, you look at the direction of a cursor. On one side is middle segment, others posterior wall is basal segment. So
Yes, sir.
this is a problem when we have, but we have a solution with this. If you want to look at a solution, we can go to anatomical M mode and correct it automatically by keeping at the mid segments. This is how you can do it. Now you can see that image.
Yes,
This
sir.
is also at mid segment, the basal segment. This is also at basal segment. And now you can measure in one go everything together. This is IVS, posterior wall, systole, septum and posterior. So now left hand side, you want all the values in one go.
Yes, sir.
If you have an anatomical M mode, you can do in that fashion. If you don't have an anatomical M mode, you cut in, do in 2-dimensional side. All right?
Yes, sir. Yes. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Let me move on to Dr. Siddharth Mangla. Siddharth, any questions you have?
Yes, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, in one of your lectures, you explained about calculating the systolic BP with the use of continuous wave Doppler. So,
Yeah.
can you just explain it again, sir?
Sure. His question is, can you calculate systolic blood pressure by echocardiography by continuous wave Doppler? We can do that. We have to go to 4-chamber view, switch on the colors, start looking for MR jet. Now I've got an MR jet. Here is an MR jet. So I'm going to switch on my continuous wave Doppler. If you look at carefully, I'm going to change the colors. Now look carefully. This is the tip of this, sorry. This is the tip of this MR jet, somewhere over here. I'll go back again to get a better MR jet gradient. So I'll keep my into the neck of MR jet. So in this subject, whatever I could get is, this is somewhere the peak of this MR jet. You look, the peak is coming from this point. So if you have a good MR jet, let me just scroll down and see. So this is the peak of this MR jet. So let's measure this peak of MR jet is almost 4 point something. So the peak of MR jet is 4.89 and the gradient is 95 millimeters of mercury. Is that right? So this gradient of 95 is being pushed into LA. And the normal LA pressure is in normal subject is approximately 10. So his blood pressure should be 95 plus 10, 105 millimeters of mercury in the absence of any aortic stenosis. And this is very useful in ICUs because in ICU what happens, the sister will tell you the blood pressure is 120 by 80. And the patient is acute MI patient majority of time they have had a very good mitral regurgitation there. Put a continuous wave Doppler, you get a very good value of MR jet gradients. Add LA pressure to it because LA pressure will be invariably elevated in MR and acute MIs. So you get a systolic blood pressure by this particular.
But sir, if the MR jet is not there, then?
If the MR jet is not there, then it's difficult to see. But we can still look, majority of people have got a trivial mitral regurgitation jet. Majority of them. You have to spend time.
Okay.
Siddharth, anything else?
No, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Siddharth. Dr. Umesh Gorege.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, Umesh. You are in India now.
Good evening, sir.
Great. Good evening. Question, Umesh.
Sir, I don't have any question, sir.
Don't tell me. Do ask me a question or I'm going to ask you a question. Okay, fine. Let's
Okay,
move
sir.
on to the next person. Third, fourth person is Dr. Yatish.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Yatish.
Sir, in apical four-chamber view, the difference between how will differentiate papillary muscles and AML or PML?
AML is anterior mitral leaflet. Papillary muscle is papillary muscles.
How
So,
will we,
yeah, I'm coming now.
Oh.
If you look at in four-chamber view, this is standard AML. This is standard PML. Correct?
okay, sir.
In three-chamber view, this is standard AML. This is standard AML. This one is standard AML. This is standard PML. Remember this much only as far as view is concerned.
Okay.
Because we can really show you all the leaflets A1, A2, A3, P1, P2, P3. But at your level, this is more than enough. Second comes papillary muscle. Look, papillary muscle is a protuberance in the middle segment of LV. This is a protuberance in the middle segment of LV. I'm going to change the colors now. Now look, something is projecting into the LV cavity over here. And leaflets gets connected. Now I'm angulating it. Now look how big the papillary muscle has become. Can you see this papillary muscle?
Yes, sir.
So this is attached to lateral wall in four-chamber view. Same, another papillary muscle is attached to inferior wall in two-chamber view.
Okay, sir.
So here is inferior papillary muscle on two-chamber. So these leaflets, when they get attached to these papillary muscle on medially and lateral. And these can be very well seen in three-dimensional echo. Give me a second, let me just dig out an image from a 3D echo. They can be very well seen in three-dimensional echo. How do we look for these papillary muscles and how do they look like? Or I can show you not in 3 dimensions, I can show you as it is also in Plaque's window. I don't have to go to 3 dimensions window. Then you have a problem of 3D echo. If I go to Plaque's window, now look this papillary muscle. Here is a papillary muscle. And this gets connected with the cords. So the cords get connected to this papillary muscle. Right?
Yes, sir.
What is the function of these papillary muscle? They hold the cords. अभी कभी आपने देखा शादी के अंदर टेंट लगते थे पुराने जमाने में.
Yes, sir.
So what happened? Those ropes used to be tied with the floor, and those ropes are like cords. and when they are tied to floors, there's some kind of a wooden structure was there that was used to be dug into the earth, and then the ropes used to get tightened up over there. So these are papillary muscles which are holding the mitral valve leaflets. All right.
Yes, sir.
Any other question?
No, sir.
Dr. Hari Krishna.
Sir, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, can you show once in four chamber, views that jets are MR jet and TR jet? How we measure one?
This subject has got a very small trivial MR jet and PR jet.
Yes.
At your level, look, this is small MR jet is seen over here. Can you see this MR jet over here?
Yes, sir.
The jet which is present just behind the leaflet is known as trivial. When it occupies one half, it is known as mild. If it occupies two half, it is known as moderate. When it occupies the whole of the LA, this is known as severe. That's how we used to say that. But the true sense looking at is when we talk of these things, we talk of vena contracta and flax window. We look at the we go to vena contracta. Unfortunately, I can't see any mitral regurgitation jet. Yeah, it is there. Very small MR jet seen over here. So this is MR jet which is seen over here. We measure the width of this MR jet region. Anything less than 0.3 is considered as mild. Anything more than 0.7 is considered as severe. So this is how it happens in vena contracta, in flax window, and apical window, four chamber view. We see that mild, moderate to severe. But in tricuspid valve, this is different. In tricuspid valve, the mild, moderate, severe remains same. Like in this subject, we have got just behind the leaflets. You can see this jet behind the leaflets.
Yes, yes, sir.
So this is almost mild, but in this tricuspid, we also measure the vena contracta. This is 0.6. If I have to measure the vena contracta, anything less than 0.3, I'll say mild. 3 to 7, 0.7 is moderate. More than 0.7 to 14. There's more than 0.7 to 9 is considered, not 9, 14. We call them as massive. More than 14 is torrential. So we have got 5 category of a TR jet in tricuspid regurgitation. But as in mitral valve, we look at a mild, moderate, severe MR, but we don't take gradients. But it's not true in tricuspid. Whether the gradient is, whether the TR jet is mild, moderate, or severe, but we look at these gradients because those gradients are more useful to calculate our PA pressures. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Yeah.
Right. Dr. Isha Sharma.
Evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, you were saying something about lateral annulus and E prime, sir. Actually, at that time, there was some connection problem and it was not audible to me. Can you please repeat it?
Sure, definitely. When we are looking at this mitral annulus, we look at tissue Doppler imaging of medial annulus and lateral annulus, correct?
Okay,
so this is tissue Doppler imaging looking at medial annulus. So in medial annulus, we get systolic velocity, early diastolic velocity, late diastolic velocity. Similarly, we get over to lateral annulus, we get same kind of a pattern. What pattern we get? We get this is lateral annulus systolic velocity. This is lateral annulus E prime velocity. We use both E prime of septal, E prime of lateral to drive average of E to E prime ratio for LA volumes evaluation, LA function evaluation, or diastolic function evaluation. That's what we do.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Right.
Sir, 16 segment model in sir 6 + 4 + 4. You were saying something like that. Can you repeat it?
Yeah, sure. I can repeat as many as the time, but you should be able to learn those things. These are the 6 segments of 4 chamber view. This is septum, correct? So basal, mid and apical septum, 3 segments. Basal, mid and apical lateral wall, 3 segments, 6. Go to 2 chamber view. This will become anterior. Basal, mid and apical anterior wall, 3. Apical, mid and basal wall, inferior wall, 6. 6 plus 6, 12. Then we go to 3 chamber view. This is anterior septum, basal anterior septum, mid anterior septum. We don't have apical anterior septum. Then we have mid posterior, basal posterior. So 6 plus 6 plus 4. We have got 16 segment wall.
Okay, sir. Thank you. sir.
Based on this, we call wall motion abnormalities, mid and basal septum, mid and basal inferior wall, RCA. Mid and basal posterior wall, mid and basal lateral wall, circumflex. Rest all is LAD. All right?
Okay, sir.
Right. Now get ready next time.
Okay, sir.
Dr. Kapil Dev. Kapil, are you there? Even Kapil is absent. Dr. Madhumita.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Madhumita.
So I've got problem in delineation of myocardium during EF calculations. So can you say explain
Sure,
that?
I'll show you very clearly. So I'll be zooming up for you.
Yes, sir.
You can interrupt me anywhere if you don't understand. I'll request everybody, please mute. Somebody has gone to toilet with a mobile phone and is flushing now over there. Look how careless the doctors are here. So I'm zooming up that picture. Now
Yes.
I'll show you like Madhumita, like you can do your change in colors.
Yes,
You
sir.
have got B scan color in your system always.
Yes, sir.
Now, where is the endocardium? This is the point of endocardium.
Okay, sir.
This is endocardium. This is all endocardium which you can see over here. Let me play this image. I can see all endocardium. I can see this basal, mid endocardium. You include this papillary muscle or exclude the papillary muscle.
Okay, sir.
But once you go to apex, you have some problem in this particular segments, right?
Yes, sir.
You can't see them very clearly.
Hmm.
So here you have to imagine where the endocardium is, but at least up to this point, I can see my whole endocardium.
Okay, sir.
You can change colors further, whichever is appears to be the best. You can use that color, light, medium, gray or dark.
Okay, sir.
And best answer is you see a picture, you see a frame, you see an image when it's moving, then you'll be able to realize where the endocardium is.
Okay, sir.
All right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any questions else? Madhumita?
So we will trace along the margin, sir, not inside the margin.
I'll just let me do the calculations for you. So look at my ECG gating first. I'm going to go to the end systolic. So this is my maximum frame of LV.
Yes, sir.
And it's not easy in the subject to measure correctly, but I'll try to do it. So I'll start with the medial annulus, go along with this line.
Okay, so margin we are taking.
Yeah. Black and white interface.
Okay.
So I've excluded my papillary muscle. I'm not including my papillary muscle.
Okay, sir.
Bring it down to lateral annulus. Press click. It will ask for apex. So here is the apex. Now this is LV volume is 113 mm and diastolic volume. Now I'll scroll the image to systole. Now again I'll start measuring from medial annulus
Annulus.
along the margins. 64% modified four chamber.
Okay, sir.
Correct?
Yes, sir. So,
Anything else?
so we have to measure EF in both 4-chamber and 2-chamber view.
Correct. Yeah, you can see your screen. The same thing you will do in two chamber view also.
So why do we
No.
do it? What should be the difference between the two readings?
Difference is not the answer. Like, because what happens? If somebody has got an inferior wall MI, his
Yes.
wall motion would be more better in two chamber view.
Okay, sir.
If somebody has got a septal wall infarction, his wall motion would be better in four chamber view.
Okay.
So utilizing two views, it gives you reasonably a good amount of ejection fraction. But in true sense,
Huh.
ejection fraction is not two dimensions or two chamber or four chamber view. It's a global,
Yes, sir.
because it's like a bullet shaped structure. So it is better to have a three-dimension ejection fraction, which correlates very well with cardiac MR.
Okay. So then final EF value, so we give mean of both 4-chamber, 2-chamber, or we take
Yeah.
one.
No, like we suppose one is 64, other is 60. The
Yes.
ejection fraction is 62%.
Okay, mean of
Average of those two.
average of both. And so we can use ejection fraction also by LA volume. So if we calculate LA volume, that doesn't give correct EF.
Ejection fraction is LV function. LA
Yes.
volume is the amount of blood which is present during end diastole, end system.
Yes, sir.
So that gives you a diastolic function evaluation, not the systolic function evaluation.
Okay, sir.
Now we are looking at LA emptying time and emptying function,
Hmm.
or LA ejection fraction for LA function evaluations also. But what's you're talking of ejection fraction is, don't get confused.
Yes,
You
sir.
look for LV only to look for ejection fraction. How
Okay,
much
sir.
blood gets emptied during each system.
Okay, sir. So we can also calculate EF by M mode.
Never ever do that.
Okay, sir.
Why? Because in M mode, what will happen? Look at this image.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
cutting M mode in basal anterior septum and basal posterior wall.
Yes, sir.
Suppose the patient has got anterior wall infarctions. So it's a compensatory mechanism that these segments will contract more and apical segments will have hypokinetis.
Okay, sir.
So you will end up having a normal ejection fraction when you're only cutting at two segments. So this is segmental function. This is not global.
Okay, sir.
So we don't use Tichols method ever. Like you can calculate, like this ejection fraction was there in this view. Here is like, here is the ejection fraction in this patient. EF Tichols method 61%.
Yes, sir.
So, but we don't use this ejection fraction ever, and never ever mention this ejection fraction,
Okay, sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
All right, Dr. Manoj.
Sir, in this picture, if there is discordance in the particular picture, then what will we think, sir?
Discordance means what?
Sir, in diastole, there is means, sir, the septum goes towards the right ventricular cavity, but in diastole, septal comes towards the left ventricular cavity, and in systole, the septum goes upward side. Then what I get?
I got your question already. His question is, look, this is diastole, this is diastole. This is systole, this is systole. Septum and posterior wall, both are the contracting the same
The
time.
concordance is
What he
maintained here.
says, this becomes systolic and this becomes diastolic. How will you calculate ejection fractions? Correct?
Yes, sir.
We don't
So
calculate.
I got lost many patients like this discordant. In LBB patient, mainly the.
In LBB patients, like you don't utilize this Tichols method ever. Go to apical 4-chamber and 2-chamber and 3-chamber views. LBB will only affect septum. LBB will not affect lateral wall or anterior wall. So you have about 3 to 5% of variation of ejection fraction, but not more than that. And never calculate ejection fraction by Tichols method as shown in this particular picture.
Okay, sir. And sir, the left ventricular hypertrophy we measure by this Plex window. if it is more than 11 millimeter, we can say that it's LVH, sir.
Yeah, I'm coming
Posterior
down to
one.
left ventricular hypertrophy. I did not touch the topic deliberately. Go to
Sir,
short axis view at papillary muscle.
in Plex window, you told, sir, if more than 15 millimeter, then it
Yeah.
will be. But sir, in some setup, it's more than 11. They told that it's LVH.
I'm telling you, it's a very controversial part. Now you are talking of 11. Some people take 10 as normal, some take 12 as normal. And what we utilize 15 or more than that is normal. Because 10 and 12 is almost normal. Everybody has got more than 12 millimeters. So what we do, we go to Plex window, parasternal short axis view at papillary muscles. I'm expanding this horizon now because I have to expand this horizon because of a reasons. Because whatever the question you ask me, I have to give you a correct answer. Look in this subject, I'm going to calculate my LV functions now. This LV function is not for anything else. I'm going to calculate for my left ventricular hypertrophy. I don't take the slow measurements, first of all. Now look in this particular thing, there's a value which is known as RWT,
Yes, sir.
right? Then we have LV mass.
Yes, sir.
And if you go back to your first class, when we send you a chamber quantification, we said based on these two factors, LV mass index, RWT, and left ventricular internal dimension during diastole, we classify these people as concentric LVH, eccentric LVH, concentric remodeling, and normal. We'll send you that image. We'll send you that image by pulse wave, by WhatsApp. So we go to parasternal short axis view at papillary muscles, take a cut section across it, measure your wall thickness in septum and posterior wall. What you will get, machine will give you RWT, it will give you LV mass during diastole, and then it will give you left ventricular internal dimensions. Based on these two parameters, 0.42 and 95 and 115 or 114 grams, we classify as concentric, eccentric, concentric remodeling, and normal. So we'll send you that image. This is how we measure them today. We don't talk of LV hypertrophy and all those things and LVH kind of things today. But
Okay, sir.
if general consensus says more than 15 millimeters is considered as hypertrophy. But this hypertrophy could be localized, generalized, apical hypertrophy. Many varieties are possible when we talk about these things. Okay?
Okay, sir. And sir, the papillary muscle in that day I sent a video. You told that this is papillary muscle, but it was looking like a floating mass inside the LV cavity, sir. So how can
Oblique imaging, trace their contacts.
Yes, sir. Oblique imaging, it will mainly get
Oblique imaging will show you these contacts from where it's originated.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right, Dr. Narendra Fiske. Naveen Dhawan, get ready.
Hello, sir.
Narendra Fiske.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, will you please show me how to measure MAPC?
MAPC, okay.
Yeah.
Cursor line into the center of, first of all, take an image, take a cursor, get into the medial annulus. Can you see the medial annulus?
Yes, sir.
My line is in the medial annulus, and then take M. So this is mitral annulus plane systolic excursion. 14, 15, 16 millimeter. Like TAPSE, it's MAPSE. TAPSE was tricuspid annulus plane systolic.
Yeah, yeah.
This is mitral annulus plane systolic.
So one more thing, sir, regarding pressure half time, mitral pressure half time, sir, the subject you have taken today, na? In that case, E wave and A wave are different, not attached to, not in continuation. Yeah, yes, sir.
So this is
No, sir. What happened? If E wave and A wave both are not in continuation, so this pressure half time is much more. So area comes around 2.9. And for calculation of mitral wall area, sir.
Let me just go for mitral valve area calculations. Mitral valve pressure half time. Is that comfortable for you?
Yes, sir. Now this is 2.35, but
Right.
might be by planimetry it comes more than 3.5 and that.
So pressure half time is a dependent on LV/LA pressures.
Okay.
And when we talk of mitral valve area, we do not talk by pressure half time. It gives us a rough idea, but the true mitral valve area comes by planimetry.
Okay, sir. Sir, one more thing. That vena contracta for mitral regurgitation, is it necessary to check vena contracta in plaques mode only, or we can check in apical also?
No, always. Apical we overestimated.
Okay, sir. Now you are explaining regarding 16 segment.
Mhm.
There was a little bit confusion because of now, first of all, in short axis at mitral wall level, papillary level, apical level 6 + 6 + 4.
Right.
And in apical 4 chamber, it is getting little bit confused now. How to, during reporting, you have to report according to that short axis view or according to
No.
mitral wall view.
Reporting is always by 4 chamber, 2 chamber, 3 chamber view.
Okay.
Short axis will not give you reporting. That only give you a rough idea how these segments are contracting. In today's circumstances, I'll not tell you to look at a short axis view to talk of reportings. Because now the fiber alignment is such, we are talking of longitudinal, radial, and circumferential fibers. Right?
Okay.
What exactly happens when our LV function deteriorates? You could have a normal LV function, but in short axis view, those fibers will be overacting. They'll be contracting more to compensate their LV function. So look at the 4 chamber, 3 chamber, 2 chamber view to talk about wall motion abnormalities. Don't look at short axis view to talk about wall motion abnormalities.
So during AF, hello, during AF, when I am using biplane, so when you have to measure that, end diastolic, end systolic, 4 chamber, 2 chamber,
right?
It is getting very difficult.
It is not difficult. In atrial fibrillation, we measure it 2 to 3 times. We say at least 5 times. Earlier teachers used to say 11 times. Okay. So when you have ejection fraction measuring an ejection atrial fibrillation, you always try to do at least 5 times.
Okay, sir. So I am getting difficulty in getting suprasternal, suprasternal windows.
Index marker at 11 o'clock position, just touch in a suprasternal notch, you will get it automatically.
So one more thing only.
Right.
So regarding measurements, sir, I am working in a very remote area in Maharashtra, and I am using GE Vivid T8 machine. I called that application engineer twice, and you allow me, that's why I can join late. But I asked him to add few more, measurements. Now you showed me LA in 4 chamber and 4 chamber and 2 chamber for LA volumes. Now he added few extra parameters. Cardiologists were using my machine. I have machine since 2 years. So he added very few measurements. Now I have taken a screenshot. So will you please share me? You have to add this much of parameters in your machine so that you can completely do
I think
a
we can sort out these issues. You call up your GE person, and that day give me a call. He'll show me a video, live video of your machine. I'll let you open up everything in that machine.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Right? Okay, bye. Take care. Naveen Dhawan.
Sir, can you tell me something about to measure the LVOT diameter, sir, please?
Yeah, I just forgot. Good. So LVOT diameter is like you have to be as perpendicular aorta as possible. Like the difficult part of measuring anything in echocardiography is LVOT diameter. Fortunately, I've got a good image. Now look, I can see my both right coronary cusp and non-coronary cusp, right? Can you see right coronary cusp over here?
Yes, sir.
And the non-coronary cusp, I'm going to freeze it again. So your both cusps should be seen. Even this cusp, I'm not very comfortable. Both the cusps should be seen in equal density. So hinge point of right coronary cusp, hinge point of non-coronary cusp is LVOT diameter. At your level, just remember this. You may have a little difficulties in understanding all this thing. Many people will come and tell you many things, but don't get flowed away. Now, this is much better view. Now I can see both the leaflets opening very clearly. Can you see the leaflets? The best view is, this is right coronary cusp, this is non-coronary cusp. So measurement from this hinge point to measurement of this hinge point is reasonably a good measurement of LVOT diameter. Right?
Yes,
Are
sir.
you lost?
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Anything else, Dr. Narendra?
Sir, LVOT measure in early systole, mid systole, or late systole?
Mid systole. This is mid systole. Look at the cursor, Manoj, over here.
Yes, sir.
The leaflets are well open. So this is mid systole. If I switch on my measurement issue out here, look, the leaflets, the setup starts reducing now. This is maximum opening. It's mid systole. Early to mid. Wherever is maximum. Okay. Dr. Nashad Ali.
Good evening, sir. Hello.
Good evening, Nashad. Go ahead.
This is two questions related to a pulmonary hypertension. One is if there is a significant TR, of course, we can measure the TR pressure gradient, and by that we can say the pulmonary hypertension, the gradients. Now, in case the patient with having clinically pulmonary hypertension, especially the COPD patients, but there is no TR, how we can measure in that case?
Go to short axis view at pulmonic valve, aorta. Here is the short axis view for aorta. Switch on the colors. Put a sample volume or a pulse wave just behind in RVOT and take a pulse wave Doppler spectrum back.
Okay.
And look at the perfect waveform. Ask the subject to hold his breath during end expiration. So I'm zooming up, increasing the gains of this picture. Now this is the tip of this pulmonic flow, correct? So I measure what? I measure my exhalation time. Pulmonary artery exhalation time. So this is pulmonary artery exhalation time. This is almost 145 milliseconds. Anything less than 90 is considered as abnormal.
Okay, thank you very much.
Right. Or you can look at the, we can look at the PR also. I'll try to show you a PR, early diastolic PR jet gradient. Not seen over here much. Suppose you have a PR. Consider this as the early diastolic gradient. So if this is a PR jet velocity early diastolic, the gradient is almost 9 millimeter. Add RA pressure to it, that is giving you a mean pulmonary artery pressure. Okay?
Okay, that's great.
Somebody was asking in between something.
Yes, sir. Sir, I have one patient whose TR gradient was around 90 to 100. He was a COPD patient, but his PA gradient was almost normal.
PA gradient, how can they be normal? What is PA gradient?
Yes, sir, it's a PV gradient, pulmonary wall velocity jo hai, PV velocity is around 1.
Pulmonic velocity is, that is suggestive of pulmonic stenosis, not for pulmonary artery hypertension.
Sir, तो अभी आपने तो यहाँ पे just now you told that
acceleration time दिखाया मैंने आपको, velocity नहीं दिखाई. Don't get confused between these two things. What I showed you, acceleration time.
Okay, sir.
80 minus half of it. 80, that will be our pressures. You know, like suppose I've taken 80 and half of this would be almost 70. The 10 millimeters would be the gradient across it. Go back, read a formula later in the acceleration time. We'll send you that. This is, if you have a gradient across this is pulmonic stenosis. What you're talking of, PA pressure is PR jet gradient, add RA pressure group, that will give you a pulmonary artery hypertension. Pulmonary hypertension or peak pulmonary artery pressure. You are confusing between pulmonic stenosis versus pulmonary artery hypertension.
Yes, sir.
The
Got it, sir.
gradient across pulmonic valve is pulmonic stenosis, but at TR jet is present. At a TR jet, add RA pressure to it, that will give you peak pulmonary artery pressure. Peak pulmonary artery pressure into 0.81. 0.6 plus RA pressure, that will give you mean pulmonary artery pressure. Suppose your TR jet gradient is 90, RA pressure is 10. 100 millimeter of gradient, that is peak. Multiply by 0.6, that becomes 60 plus 2.1. 62 is your mean pulmonary artery pressure. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Naushad, is that clear now?
Yes, sir. Yeah, got it. Thank you.
Okay.
सर सॉरी सर ये एक बार फिर से एक्सप्लेन कर देंगे सर मीन आर्टरी प्रेशर पल्मोनरी
TR jet gradient is suppose 90. You add RA pressure to it, that is almost 10 by IVC. The peak pulmonary artery pressure will become 90 plus 10, 100 millimeters of mercury. But whenever we talk of pulmonary artery hypertension, we talk of mean pulmonary artery pressures. So mean would be 100 of this multiplied by 0.6, that becomes 60. Add 2.1, which is a fixed figure. 62.1 is my mean pulmonary artery pressure. Normal pulmonary artery pressure is only 25 or less than that. 25 to 35 is mildly raised. 35 to 45 is moderately raised. More than 45 is severely raised.
सर जो फॉर्मूला है 4 into VTR square plus RAP वो पीक पल्मोनरी आर्टरी प्रेशर का है क्या सर?
करेक्ट.
उसमें 60.6 से मल्टीप्लाई करना होगा उसको.
0.6 से मल्टीप्लाई करके 2.1 ऐड करना होगा, देन विल गेट अ मीन पल्मोनरी आर्टरी प्रेशर.
सर और सर ये डिसेलरेशन वाला एक बार बोलेंगे सर दोबारा से.
Acceleration time.
Oh, acceleration.
80 minus 80 is a figure. 80 is a fixed figure. 80 minus half of this acceleration time. Like this is 145. Half of this is 72. Correct? 80 minus half of this, that becomes 8. 8 millimeter of mercury is my mean pulmonary artery pressures.
Okay, sir.
As this becomes shorter, suppose this becomes 100. So 80 is a fixed figure, 80. 80 minus half of the 100 would be 50. 80 minus 50 would be 30 millimeters of mercury, my mean pulmonary artery pressure. But this formula is not very valid because what happens with tachycardia? The systole gets shortened down. All right, let's move on. Dr. Neha Goenka Agarwal.
Good evening, sir.
Good
Sir,
evening.
can you show the LA appendage once?
LA appendage. For looking at LA appendage, there are two views are there. One is 4-chamber view, second is short axis views. I'll try to show you both of them in LA appendage. Which happens? So I'm going to 4-chamber view first, and then look, I'm angulating my transducer a little bit. So this is my LA appendage over here. There should not be any color flow. Be sure about it. Correct? But the best way of looking LA appendage is go to short axis view. Aortic valve, from aortic as to come to papillary muscles, you are able to see a good LA appendage. This is an LA appendage. And they'll start, you'll start showing LA appendage when you have some stenotic problems. Why the LA appendage would be bigger? When you have some issues. Now you can see this is now this you can see the LA appendage.
Yes.
Be sure about it, there is no flow of blood, otherwise this will be left upon lower pulmonic veins, because even the pulmonic vein comes from the same place.
Yes, yes.
Okay, but this point is very sure about it that this is LA appendage. Here the pulmonic vein is not seen. This is for sure, this is LA appendage in short axis view. Okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Right. Pawan Agrawal.
Sir, my one question.
Sir, sir, I have some clarification from you. That, sir, we calculate peak pressures, peak velocity, mean pressure, mean velocity. For calculation purpose, we take the mean values. Then what is the importance of peak values?
All three valves, mitral, aortic, and tricuspid, they take mean values. But peak values is very important for pulmonic stenosis. We take peak gradient in pulmonic stenosis. Normal pulmonic artery stenosis is more than 25 millimeters of mercury.
And mean value does not have in that case.
It does not have any value in the mean. Don't ask me question why, because even the big pediatric person could not answer this question.
It was a little bit confusion in my mind. And what about this, sir, pressure, this velocities, peak velocity and mean velocity?
Same thing is for peak velocity and mean velocity. Peak velocity, if it's more than 4 meters per second, it has got a value in severe aortic stenosis.
Severe aortic stenosis.
Right.
And,
whenever we will go back to prosthetic valve again, you listen to my prosthetic valve lecture, which I gave you last week.
Yeah.
We were talking of peak velocity and a mean gradients.
Peak
when
velocity.
we talk of stenotic lesions in prosthetic valve abnormalities.
And in aortic valve.
In aortic valve, in pulmonic valve.
And pulmonic valve, we take the peak values.
Peak values.
And for this mitral and tricuspid, we take mean values.
Take a mean values, but in aortic valve also we take a peak value of more than 4 meters per second, but the gradient should be more than, mean gradient should be more than 40.
I see. And sir, which is the better view, 4-chamber view or right RV focus view for calculation of the right chambers calculations?
There are total 5 views are there. RVRA inflow view, parasol short axis view at aorta. Third is 4-chamber view. Fourth is focused RVRA view. Fifth is subcostal view. Anywhere where the maximum gradient is, we take them as maximum gradient.
No, I mean to say that if we want to this calculation of the chamber size, RA size,
focus, chamber size is focused RVRA.
Focus RVRA.
Right.
Sir, one question more is in mitral valve M mode, we take DEF slope. What is the importance of these calculations?
DE excursion tells you whether mitral valve is opening normally or abnormally. Anything less than 15, like normal is 15 to 26 millimeters. Excursion, DE excursion. If less than 15, the mitral valve is less opening. 1. EF slope, the smaller the EF slope is, normal is 50 to 150. Smaller the EF slope is, more towards chances of having a stenotic lesion.
Sir, can we make gradients, grading of the severity of the mitral?
110% no.
No.
Gradient would, severity would always be a mean gradients.
I have seen somewhere below 15 it is severe mitral stenosis, and between 15 to 25 moderate.
Look,
It's not true.
I can only tell you like what is happening in 2021-22.
Yes. Okay, sir. Sir, could you tell me about a little bit confusion about the right RV systolic pressure and mean pulmonary artery pressure?
We repeated a number of times before also. I'll repeat it again.
Sir,
we take a
just
tear jet. We take a tear jet velocity gradients. Suppose the velocity is 4 meters per second. The gradient would be 64, 4v square. Then add RA pressure to it because tricuspid regurg is going into RA. So RA pressure is, let's take it as 64 plus 10, 74. So 74 is a peak pulmonary artery pressure. Then you drive mean pulmonary artery pressure is 74 into 0.6 plus 2.1. That is a fixed figure. Then you get a mean pulmonary artery pressure.
So define the pulmonary hypertension. We have to calculate pulmonary artery pressure, mean pulmonary artery pressure.
Mean pulmonary artery pressure.
Not by RV systolic pressure.
Not by RV systolic pressure.
Okay, sir. Sir, there is septal posterior valve delay, and some cases. How much this important? Is there any criteria to say that how much it should be delayed more? Septal and posterior valve delay and mode.
That you're going towards synchronization. Let's not talk of synchronization in this particular. That is suggestive of more than 160 milliseconds is suggestive of septum posterior valve delay.
116.
160.
160. 160.
Right.
It should be more than that.
Right.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Right. Dr. Ravindra Ankam.
Sir, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, can you show me the LA quantification, LA volume size once again, sir?
LA quantification. Okay. So I'm going to 4-chamber view and now 2-chamber view, correct?
Yes, sir.
So 4-chamber and 2-chamber view, I'm going to go to the same in 2 views. Now I'm going to measurements, volume, LA volume. Then I'll measure for medial annulus in 4-chamber view.
Yes, sir.
Just listen. Just a second. Then trace along the line. You can't see that border of the LA, but this is what you are seeing. Take it to lateral annulus. They'll give you area at LA1 in 4-chamber view. Then go to 2-chamber view. Trace it in the 2-chamber view. That will give you area 2. Then take short of these 2 lengths from one point to another point. That will give you LA1. Machine will give you automatically. This formula has to be fed into it because the formula is 0.85 into area 1 into area 2 divided by short of these 2 lengths. So we have fed this formula into our machines.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Right. Dr. Sobran Rai.
RVOT के बारे में सर.
RVOT. So I'm trying to focus is RV, pulmonic valve. This is not a very good demonstration like picture, but I'll try to show you. Yeah, I've got it almost. Shivan, numbers also. Not a very good, but I'm trying to explain you what exactly I'm trying to say. So this is pulmonic RVOT area. This is pulmonic valve, which is pulmonic artery bifurcating to right and left. So this is pulmonic valve which we are seeing over here. So we can see one hinge point of the pulmonic valve over here. one over here and second over here. So I'm going to change the colors. This is better. Yeah, this is better seen in this picture. So this is one hinge point. This is second hinge point. So I'm going to draw a line between one hinge point and second hinge point. This is RVOT diameter. Ravindra, this is okay?
सर इसका यूज क्या है सर? एलवीओटी का तो स्ट्रोक वॉल्यूम में यूज में लेते हैं, इसको किस में यूज में लेंगे सर?
जब हम pediatric population, when we are using pediatric population, then we are using QP/QS ratio. Amount of blood flow which is happening across pulmonic valve, amount of blood flow which is happening across LVOT. When the ratio is more than 2:1, when the blood flow across pulmonic valve is 2 times the blood flow at the aortic valve, then this becomes significant.
Okay.
Dr. Sovereign Rai, any question from your side?
Okay, sir. No, sir.
Dr. Sumit Chauhan.
Yes, sir. Sir, my question is, when we do tissue Doppler study of the septal and the lateral wall, there comes many peak are coming. So, sir, I always get confused which peak is E prime, and when we
which peak? No. The peak is on two sides. Below the
yes,
side,
sir, on
above the side.
yes, sir. So, which, sir, always there is I get confused in this, sir.
Like in this, you can see multiple peaks. That's right.
Yes, sir. That's why.
So
in
the
systole and in
answer
diastole. Yes.
the answer is you ask the patient to hold the breath
Okay.
and then freeze your 2D image.
Okay.
Like I'm going to show you that live now. Same thing what you say. Now this patient is breathing. I'm not saying anything to him. He's breathing. My image is moving.
Yes, sir.
Now I'm trying to calculate it, right?
Yes, sir.
Now look what I'm getting.
Yes, sir.
Correct. Now on top of that, I'll make it further worse. Everything is moving now.
Yes,
So I'll
sir.
freeze my 2D image. Now ask
Okay.
him to hold his breath. Saans roko, Shikha. Look, things have changed.
Yes, sir.
Now one is bigger, second is could be smaller.
Yes, sir.
If you are taking a respiration, these will vary. In end expiration, you will see all of them at the same height. 1, 2.
So which point is E prime?
This is E prime. This is first wave is E prime. This
In
is septal.
okay.
This is systolic wave. This is
Yes, sir.
systolic function. We are not talking of this. This is known as S prime. This is E prime. This is A prime.
Okay. Second wave is A prime, and in both in lateral view.
Same.
In sir lateral wall में अगर TDI करेंगे उसमें.
Same आएगा. This is septal is clear.
Yes,
Now
sir.
let's go to lateral. So I'm getting lateral into the line as stated now. Now this is what I do when I do my practice. So my contraction is in the line of movement.
Yes, sir.
Now this is E prime over here. 1,
First wave E prime.
2,
Okay.
3, almost 8, 9, 8, 9.
Okay.
When he was respiring. Otherwise, if it's not respiring,
yes,
then
sir.
become end respiration is always same.
And sir, when we take E by E prime ratio, तो उसमें E
We
prime.
take septal and lateral. This septal was suppose 10. Lateral is always more. Suppose lateral
Yes,
is 14. 10
Yes,
plus
sir.
14, 24. Half of that
Yes.
is 12. Then
Yes, sir.
divide by E. E wave is suppose 100. 100 divided by 12.
Yes, sir.
That will give you E to
The
the
average लेना है.
Right.
Okay, average लेना है. Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Right. So we go to the next person is.
Sir, one more question, sir.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Before ending the session, kindly brief us about the exam which we'll be conducting on next Sunday, sir.
No, the exam is very simple. We are going to show you clips. I'm going to ask you questions.
Okay.
Then my other examiners would be asking questions one by one, and anybody can be asked any number of questions, not 1 or 2.
Okay. Okay.
We'll be sitting at 7 o'clock in the afternoon, 7:30. It can go till 11, 12, whatever the time is.
Okay.
Till we
Okay.
are satisfied,
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
right?
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So we go to Dr. Vivek Patre.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, what is difference between modified RV view and focus RV view, and when we use?
What is not modified? One is a regular 4-chamber view.
Yeah.
This is regular 4-chamber view. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Then we move towards 4th intercostal space. This becomes modified. We get rid of LVL.
Okay.
Or we call them as focused.
And there is no such thing like RV modified view.
No RV modified.
Okay. Sir, another question is, as we know the Doppler principle, the flow should be as parallel as to the Doppler beam. But in Planck's window, the aortic flow and mitral flow is perpendicular to the Doppler beam. So is it good? Is it good for color flow mapping?
No, it's not good for color flow mapping. Certain principle is evaluated from this. Like when we talk of vena contracta across mitral valve, we are talking of this Planck's window. So people who looked at this mitral flow in Planck's window, they look by this particular Planck's window. Like whatever we do, it has to be correlated with our subsequent angio finding and other findings or cardiac MRIs. So this principle of looking at a Doppler flow in parasyncopic view is good for calculating vena contracta across mitral valve and vena contracta across aortic valve. But we don't measure velocity and other things in this particular views.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Right. Now we move on to Dr. Sumit Chauhan. Are you done?
Sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Dr. Sui Teng from Myanmar.
Hi.
Yeah, Dr. Sui Teng, please go ahead.
Oh, okay. Dr. Gupta, thank you so much for the lecture. I have no questions for this lecture. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sui Teng. Can you write the name of Sui Teng?
Sorry?
Dr. Thin Tun.
Hello, sir.
Speak loudly, Dr. Thin Tun.
Yes, can you hear me, please? Hello?
Any questions?
Yes, I want to know, when we measure the LE diameter and LEAO, should we measure in a Planck's window or in a short axis view?
LA measurements, LA diameter is always measured in parasyncopic long axis view. This is LA measurement. Can you see on the screen?
Yes.
This is LA measurement. I'll measure it again for you. This is from this point to this point. We say that this is LA measurement, LA diameter.
Yes, yes. I mean, in M mode, in the LE.
In M mode also you can do the same thing in M mode. I showed you that same thing in M mode. Just give me, I'll dig out this. Same patient in Planck's window. I did an M mode. And here I did from this point to this point. This is my LA diameter.
Yes, yes. So
LA,
we measure in short axis view. Is there any difference? I mean, using this between these two view, measuring in a Planck's window or measuring in a short axis view.
in short axis, Dr. Clinton, we don't see LAs. Let's go to short axis view. From here, I'm going to short axis view.
Yes.
Look, where is LA? In this view, you mean to say?
LA.
You want to measure LA in this view, right?
Yes.
No, guidelines do not say recommend this view as measurement of LA dimensions.
Right. So always use plex window.
Always, always.
Yes. Yes, and another questions. Can you please show us how to measure the mitral valve area in planimeter?
Okay, planimeter.
Yes.
So I'll go from this Plex window, I'll go to short axis view at aorta, right?
Yes.
From aorta, I'll come down to mitral valve, correct?
Yes.
Then I'll go towards papillary muscles. Then come back. Now you see the mitral valve. Look, I said parasitic short axis view at aorta, go to mitral valve, go to papillary muscle, and then come back to mitral valve. And now here I'm going to measure my area, mitral valve area. I'm able to see my lateral commission, I'm able to see my medial commission. So I'm going to measure this area like this. Inside, always, nothing outside. I'm going to measure it all inside. 1.75, and I have to do it number of times.
Yes.
Why I said you should go from papillary muscle and come back. If you go to 4-chamber view, look at this 4-chamber view over here. 4-chamber view over here. Look at this 4-chamber view. When I'm cutting mitral valve, I'm going to aorta. Aorta is over here. Aorta to papillary muscle, mitral valve is over here. Then to papillary muscle. When I come back from papillary muscle, the first area will I come across, that will be the area of tip of the mitral valve.
Yes.
In today's circumstances, in 2021, if you ask me to do a mitral valve area, I don't do that fashion. I have changed a little bit. I'm using my multi-planar probe. How I'm using my multi-planar probe, I'll just show you in a couple of seconds. Give me a second. Your country must be having a good 3-dimensional echo machines. So I'm using my multi-planar machine. Now look, this is a machine which is telling you on left side of the screen, you can see a cursor which is cutting aortic valve.
Yes.
Right side, you are seeing the aortic valve, correct?
Yes.
Same thing, I will take it to mitral valve tip. Now I'm getting the perfect mitral valve area. Now you can see my mitral valve area very clearly, maximum opening at the tip. On one side, I know that I'm cutting at the tip of the mitral valve leaflet. On the other side, I see correct mitral valve area. This is multi-planar. This is what technology we are using as on today in our lab. We don't spend time, and now this has gone into recommendations, guidelines now.
Yes.
To measure mitral valve area by planimetry, and they are not recommending by 3 dimensions, which they were recommending earlier. Now they're recommending this method for calculation of mitral valve area by planimetry, because this comes out to be more accurate, more appropriate than by 3 dimensions.
Yes.
Right, Clinton?
Yes. If, sir, one more question. If
I love to hear from you. For the first time, you have started asking me questions.
Yes.
Please go ahead.
If there's incongruent between the mitral valve area between, planimetry and pressure half time, and some teachers access to see the mitral valve pressure gradient, but if the 3 figures are incongruent, so how should we?
Always, I'll put emphasis on mitral valve area by planimetry.
Yes.
Because pressure half time and gradients, they are dependent on preload and afterloads.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
If your patient is dehydrated, so your pressure half time will change. If patient is hypertensive, pressure half time will change.
Yes.
So many things will change, but planimetry area to a large extent will not change by these loading and unloading conditions.
Right.
So always put emphasis on pressure half time. Sorry, micronal area by planimeter.
Microwave and planimetry, yes. Yes, thank you, sir.
Thank you. So we have almost how many?
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, sure.
Sir, in the same image, for MVA planimetry, now this lower leaflet is getting merged with the inferior wall. So I am getting the same problem. And a lot of time what happens that lower leaflet, that posterior leaflet get merged with inferior wall. Then how to calculate that?
Where it is? Where it is
It is, so it is not merging in this view, but I am getting problem, sir.
So I'm telling you, the problem is like you're doing oblique imaging. If you are using the image, let me go to the way you have been doing in your systems. I've been saying these things from a long time. Now keep your image in such a fashion that you are at almost at 90 degrees of the aorta. Your cut section should be in the center, right? Look, my image is now aorta is cutting right into the center. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Now rotate 90 degrees. Now aorta would be again in the center. Go back and do it. And once you have aorta in the center, your mitral valve area would come out to perfect.
Okay, sir.
So
Thank you.
I'll go to papillary muscle and gradually come down to mitral valve. Now you can see a mitral valve very well opening over here. It's here.
So will you please calculate for me? Sir, if I'm not wrong, in the last lecture in Parashar sir was asking that you have to add that commissions in the
Yeah,
your
commission
area
is there
counter.
already there. Their commissions is over here. One is over here, one is over here. Let me show you. You're not wrong. You're absolutely correct. Now, let me just give me a second. Let me just show. Now, are you comfortable? Because these are in normal subject. One is over here, second is over here. So let me measure it again, and this will be more perfect area of measurement than the previous one. Here is the commission lateral one.
Okay.
Now I'm going to measure this is the commission on the medial side. So I'm coming back. My area is 2.73 plus 3 of the centimeters. Look, as soon as you start developing the mitral stenosis, this mitral area will become very clear. And somehow I don't know what happens. If you have a aortic stenosis, your ascending aorta start becoming clear. If you have mitral stenosis, your mitral valve area would be becoming very clear. The images. In normal subject, it will be difficult to calculate, but when it comes down to mitral stenosis, it becomes very easy of calculations. All right. Let's have somebody who has not asked the question. Identify yourself and then we.
Hi, Miss. Sir.
What's your name?
Sir, Ashutosh. Good evening, sir.
Ashutosh, good evening. Go ahead and ask the question.
Sir, almost every question is already covered, but I just want to see the wall in parasternal short axis. Can you identify this all the wall in parasternal short axis?
Parasternal short axis. Just a second. Give me a second.
Yes, sir.
Look, the previous person who was talking about, this is a patient of mitral stenosis. Now look, this mitral area is becoming clearer now. Look at this mitral area, how clear it is now. Images become much clearer in this patient. So we are utilizing both. Now this is not at the tip, this is at the in the center of funnel. So my mitral valve area would be different. When I'm coming to tip, my mitral valve area is just perfect. So wait till the time, whenever the stenosis develops, the things becomes easy for you. What's your good name here? I just forgot. I'm so sorry.
Sir, Ashutosh.
Ashutosh. Reena Ashutosh.
Yeah.
So I'll go to short axis view. I'll start from basal segments. So basal would be at the level of mitral valve, right?
Yes, sir.
So I'll store this image. Then 6 segments of the papillary muscles. So at the level of papillary muscles. Then 6 segments of the apex. Now papillary muscle is gone, 8 apex. So I'll bring back all one by one. So this is septum, correct?
Yes, sir.
So opposite is
Lateral wall.
like septum and lateral wall. Septum and lateral wall.
Yes, sir.
This is anterior. Opposite of this is,
Inferior.
this is anterior septum. This is septum. This is, sorry, lateral wall. This is anterior septum and this is posterior wall. This is anterior wall. This is inferior wall. Just cross across it. Same
Okay,
thing. Same thing goes for papillary muscles. Septum, lateral, anterior septum, posterior, anterior, inferior. Then in apex, we have only what? Septum and lateral, anterior septum and posterior.
Posterior septum.
Is that okay, Ashutosh?
Yes, sir. Sure, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Next person who's left behind can open up his mic and identify themselves.
Good evening, sir. Neeraj, sir.
Neeraj. Go ahead, Neeraj.
Yes, sir. Sir, IVC एक बार sir demonstrate करिएगा sir.
IVC. He has gone to urine already 2 times. Where would we be able to see IVC? Let me try. See the leg jump.
Sir, I am sitting here on my chair for last 2.5 years.
I'm standing on this machine for last 2.5 hours. Man. Don't worry about it. You are sitting at least, I'm standing. So this is subcostal window.
Thank you for teaching us, sir.
No. Don't say thank you. Never say that word. Please. Somebody taught me and I'm here to teach you. So this is subcostal window. Counterclockwise rotation. I'm opening up this IVC. This is his IVC. Can you see this IVC over here?
Sir.
And this IVC will have respiratory movements. So this is IVC. This is, you can measure the diameter of IVC. One side, and here maximum I could see the collapse. 20 and 18. His RA pressure is almost 10 millimeters of mercury. Right?
Sir.
Anything else? Neeraj?
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Dr. Rasika Sovis. I could see his name.
Yeah. Hello, sir. Can you hear
Yeah,
me?
Rasika. Yeah, I can hear you, Rasika, definitely.
Yeah. Thing is, when you calculate pulmonary artery pressure by the TRPG, you said get the TRPG and the RA pressure as a 10 and proceed with that. But we need to measure the IVC
Yeah, we
collapsibility
need to
and
measure RA pressure is always determined by IVC. Look, if I'm looking at this RA pressure, this is 10 now. Like IVC, normal size less than 20, collapsing less than 50%. RA pressure 10. If it's collapsing more than 50%, RA pressure would be fine. If IVC is dilated and collapsing more than 50%, RA pressure are 10. If IVC is dilated, not collapsing more than 50, collapsing less than 50%, then RA pressure are 15. So his RA pressure are 10 over here. If I take his TR jet, let me try to take his TR jet if it all is there. I will say that we always see a TR jet. Look, he has got a TRJ. My boss, when I was having training, my boss used to tell me, if you can't see a TRJ, it means you're hungry. You don't want to do a work. So he has got a TRJ, and if I put C category, his TRJ is almost, I can see this is somewhere 2.5. So 2.5 into 2.5 into 4, 25 plus RA pressure 10, 35 into 0.6. 3 का 18 और फिर 21 21 plus 2.1 23.1 is his pulmonary artery pressure, which is normal.
Yeah, which is normal. Yeah. Other
Always
question.
spend time on this.
Yeah. Okay. So other question
And
is
before you ask another question, if it's a COPD patient, you spend all 5 windows. What we have learned, you should see in focused RVRA view, you must see in RVRA inflow view. At least these 2 windows, you must see the PA pressures. Okay? Go ahead, next question.
next question is the anatomical M mode, how much reliable is more than 15 degrees? Some say where you can't rely on that.
I showed you anatomical M mode, but I don't use anatomical M mode. That's why I was not touching anatomical M mode at all. Because if I have to measure my LV dimensions, I still utilize this image. I'll measure like this. If I'm doing an M mode calculation, then I'll try my image has to cut these M mode has to cut this without anatomical M mode. Okay. Any other question, Rasika?
Yeah. So what's the B mode? Is similar to 2D mode though? It's a different mode.
B mode is whatever we are doing. This is B mode. B mode colors. You know, like this is B mode. This is what we are doing is a B mode image. And these are known as B scan colors. These are known as B scan colors. I'm changing my colors. These are known as B scan colors.
Then the B mode is similar to 2D mode, sir? Same.
2D mode. 2D mode.
Yeah. Okay.
So, Dr. Ashwini, you are left, I believe. Dr. Anil Kumar, Dr. Ashwini.
Good evening, sir. Sir,
No, sir, no questions.
Ashwini, no question?
No questions, sir. Thank you.
Okay, Ashwini, no questions, Dina. Anil Kumar.
Sir, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, RV wall thickness in subcostal view, how to measure? Sir?
RV wall thickness in subcostal view. Great. Now, everybody, I really like it. So, how much is the interest today? Possibly the exam have made you smarter. So, this is subcostal window, right?
Okay.
Anil, can you see this subcostal window?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, this is my RV, this is RV free wall. I'm going to use this RV free wall. Correct? Now, this is tricuspid valve, this is apex. So, tip of the tricuspid valve would be somewhere here when it opens up. Because diastole it will open up. So, this is a point where the tips are maximum. I'll measure my RV free wall. This is 0.58. Oh. .41. Some people says 0.4, some people says 0.5. As more than that is considered as abnormal.
Okay, sir.
Doctor, anybody else who's identify himself? Anybody left? So there is no more questions. We'll stop it over here.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Identify
Sir, will you
yourself.
please show EVA planimetry?
What's your name? I'm sorry.
AVA. Narendra, sir.
Narendra Fiske, right?
Yes, sir.
We don't do AVA planimetry, Narendra.
Okay, sir.
Aortic valve area planimetry is not a correct method of doing it because we cannot do it properly. Only AVA planimetry we do in transesophageal level.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
We can do it. I'm not saying that we can't do it, but let me just show you, but this is not authentic. You cannot quote this aortic valve area diameter. So I'm showing it, but don't quote it in any point. You look, this is how we can do it. So you look at 3 valves leaflets when it's opening up. Look, I can't see the proper 3 valves which are opening up. They are so thin. If you really look at it, I can see that sometimes they're opening up over here, one over here. And when they're open up fully, then we can say that we can measure the area inside it. So that will be aortic valve area by planimetry. But we don't use it for calculation of aortic valve area. Aortic valve area is only calculated by
stroke volume and
continuity equation.
Continuity equation.
Right.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Right. Anybody else?
Good evening, sir. Vivek
Good
Patre
evening.
is here, sir. Sir,
Yeah, Vivek, go ahead.
you already told, sir, but I couldn't understand how to measure the left ventricular hypertrophy, sir.
A left ventricular hypertrophy, I already told you, go to short axis view. This is short axis view at papillary muscle, right?
Yes, sir.
Take an M mode.
Yes, sir.
And this M mode, if you measure this M mode, what we get? I'm going to measure this M mode over here. You should do it live. I'm just acquired image. So what I'm getting over here is I'm getting RWT.
Line from where to where, sir? Line from where to where?
Okay, line from where to where. Then I'll go to live images. Now its image is clear.
Yes, sir.
So this is a papillary muscle.
Yes, sir.
So I'm optimizing my image.
Yes, sir.
So I'll show you from where to where. From this point to this point. This is septum.
Okay.
From this point to this point is posterior wall.
Yes, sir.
Then I trace this posterior point from here to here is my system.
Yes, sir.
From same point I'll trace over here. From this point to this point would be my system of septum.
Yes, sir.
So now I'm going to measure it for you. So what I'm getting is, I'm getting RWT, relative wall thickness. I'm getting LV mass during diastole, and then getting LV internal dimension during diastole.
Yes, sir.
So these figures, on the basis of this, I'll be able to say concentric LVH, concentric remodeling, and normal, and one more, eccentric hypertrophy. We'll send you that article. You can go through it.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you,
All
sir.
right. Okay, right. So I'm going to stop it over here. So, and best of luck, everybody. I've taken the attendance also. I saw many people who are missing. Approximately right, about 20-25 people are missing right now from here.
Sir, excuse me, sir.
Yeah.